Hi everybody, I just wanted to do a quick vlog. This is going to be my first vlog. I have no idea how frequent these are going to be, but this is just me basically talking off the top of my head about what I'm up to at the moment. And I thought I'd start off by talking about the acoustic in this room. Now I've had a lot of comments, particularly over the past couple of weeks, about the fact that my videos are it's hard to hear what I'm saying. And I totally see where people are coming from with that. First of all, when I do these videos, they're usually very unscripted. I'm just sort of maybe have a few talking points that I've jotted down, but mostly they're pretty, well, improvised, off the cuff. And as a result, I can sometimes gabble my words and sometimes speak quite quickly, especially if I'm trying to keep the noise down, okay? Now the second thing that I think has been a real problem in the past couple of videos has been the acoustic in this room. And hopefully you can hear that this has improved a bit because I put some rock wool slabs in here which has kind of soaked up some of the sound. I'm still working out the best placement of them. You can see one of them behind me there. Whether it's better to place them on facing walls or maybe in the corners. I'm sure some people can have some, give me some advice on that. I think corners is meant to be best. I've also got some you know, acoustic kind of foam, but I'm basically told that that's not quite so useful, really. And I don't need this room to be acoustic quality, really. I just need it to be a little bit less echoey. So hopefully you can appreciate that already massive improved. This is not an acoustically dead studio-style space, and probably I won't want it to be like that. But hopefully we've got rid of the worst of the reverb in here, which was making me hard to understand, or harder to understand. As far as my accent goes, I can't really fix that. Okay, so hopefully you'll notice an improvement on that, for which, yeah, I mean, thanks to the people who pointed that out. I think it's completely valid feedback. Another thing that's happened is recently I've just been helping out in a summer school. It's quite a famous summer school called Dartington International Summer School. It's in Devon. And over the years, it's been like a big sort of classical music summer school where, you know, people like Stravinsky have been there, you know, and it's kind of, you know, quite an institution. The place itself is amazing, but they have like these sort of weekly week-long taster courses, and I was sort of helping out in the administration side of it. But I was able to do a bit of sort of percussion under the tutelage of the amazing Adriano Adewale, who's a great Brazilian percussionist based in London. He's a really great musician, and also Jonathan Price, who's a really great sort of Brazilian style guitarist. He plays traditional choro 7-string, amongst other things, and is absolutely great at that. Very different style to myself. He's a proper fingerstyle guy, classical, all the rest of it. So in that case, you know, it wasn't like sort of a high level kind of you know, specialist samba sort of course or anything, but there's something always really nice about sort of starting off with a group of people, some of whom have never played percussion before. And I find any percussion playing that I do, you know, I've done samba on a few occasions before, but I'm always learning stuff, even in, you know, classes with people who are basically beginners, because we're all sort of putting together as a group, and also any percussion I play I find helps me a lot. And one thing that has really sort of popped up about that, I think, has been upbeats. And, you know, because Brazilian music is so much based on the upbeats, even more, I think, than bebop, for example. It's really made me think about the placement of them, and the fact that, I think, you know, it's just finding where they are. So there's that sort of sweet spot. Obviously, Brazilian music is, well, I mean, you would first start trying to get your upbeat straight, and then later on try and get that specific type of Brazilian swing, I think, which is about pushing certain upbeats but not others, which is more subtle. But certainly being able to like play upbeats straight when I'm strumming is something I struggle with quite a lot, actually, and it's been mentioned a few times in various bands I've been in. So that's something to work on. But also, you know, single notes as well, and just being able to place upbeats consistently. So I found that with playing jazz, actually, coming back from that course, I suddenly feel like everything's a little bit more locked in, which is nice, and I hope to continue that feeling in my playing. It's always great when you get sort of feelings like that, especially when you've been away from sort of guitar. Well, I was playing guitar, but I wasn't playing loads of improvised stuff. I was playing a little bit of bossa, you know, in some of the groups, you know, but actually having a break from that and doing something else musically, which is also rhythmic, and really kind of help you when you go back to playing single note lines, because sometimes we have a tendency to get a bit wrapped up in the technique and sort of specifics and the harmony of jazz guitar playing, and percussion can take you away from that. So I definitely want to do more percussion actually. I always feel that whenever I do any of these sorts of courses. So that's something I might make a video about actually, the whole Upbeats thing. That's kind of important to me. Lastly, I'm working on Hank Mobley's album Soul Station at the moment. I've basically learned the repertoire off the record. We had a go at playing through it on Sunday with a quartet that I put together, which was fun. Didn't go perfectly, but I learnt a lot in the process. And now I'm transcribing Hank's solo on If I Should Lose You. And I would like to go sort of forward and transcribe as much of the album as I can, simply because I think it's one of the best exemplars of Blue Note jazz that you can find. I mean, I think you could learn jazz from transcribing any of the great Blue Note albums, but I think there's something about that particular one, the way Hank Mobley plays on it is so clear and so precise, and his ideas, really relate to what I've been, kind of working on with the Barry Harris stuff. I don't know if that's how he thought of it, and there's kind of no way of knowing, but certainly the Barry Harris thing is a very good prism for looking at the music of that era. So I'll definitely be doing some videos on what I find from the solo and how I'm thinking about that, if other people have transcribed that. So it's a very famous album. Loads of people seem to basically know solos, and some of them can sing it all the way through, It's definitely a thing that people study. So if anybody else has looked at that solo and then, they might find something interesting about that Barry Harris take on that familiar material. And for everybody else, they'll probably just find it interesting because, they're great lines and everything. But the other thing I like about transcribing this album is that it's not a guitar album. There's no guitar on it. So in a way that's kind of liberating. You're not sort of trying to think, how would Pat Metheny have fingered this? Or how would Wes have fingered this? Or Charlie Christian, whoever. And you're left to be much more creative, much more open about your choices, which I kind of really enjoy. And after going through a long period of basically transcribing other guitar players, it's nice to be sort of doing a bit more piano and horn stuff. Anyway, that's the end of my update. I'm going to put out a few videos hopefully over the next couple of days. Just one last thing about the sound. I don't tend to close mic myself for the reason that essentially it takes time to sync video to audio. So if I set up I've got a Rode NT1A. If I set that up, then I've got to sync the audio track to the video, and then I've got to sort of, it just takes more time. Whereas this, I can make this video, stick it up pretty much right away. And if the sound is acceptable, unless in situations where the sound has to be really good, for example, if I'm comparing guitars or amplifiers or something, then I will do it this way. And I know it's a bit kind of low rent and a bit low production values, but it does allow me to upload more content. Perhaps if I was a bit more sort of savvy technically, I would find a way of doing that more quickly using a proper mic as opposed to the one in the video camera. But on the whole, the one on the video camera is not too bad, and I've actually had some people say when I was doing it in my old space that they actually sounded pretty good. So my opinion is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But that's me. And also because I'm kind of busy with other stuff. I've got quite a lot of stuff on my plate. The less time I devote to sort of editing and splicing things together, the more practice I can do, and the more preparation for gigs, and the more admin and sending of invoices and so on and so forth. So and teaching, So it's good for me to do it this way because it means I will upload stuff as opposed to just going like, it's all a bit of a hassle. I don't want to do that. Anyway, that's me done for today. Let me know any comments or any questions below. I'll try and do some Q&As and things as well. So if you do have any questions about anything I've posted, feel free to pop them up. Thanks for watching. See you soon.